Hello, wonderful people. Thank you for joining us today on The Climb. I'm John Sarakis, and this is The Climb, brought to you by the Digital Mastermind. Our show is about journeys, your business journeys, or any journeys for that matter that get you to where it is that you want to go. But it's not about that destination, it's about the trip, right? This is the podcast where we talk to digital agencies about business, marketing, technology. So if you want tips, tricks, you want to join a peer group with other agency owners, you want constant communication via Slack group for all your questions or concerns, you just want to go ahead and brag about something, some accomplishment that you have. We have bi-weekly calls to stay on top of the latest and the greatest. And of course, this podcast that we share tons of information. We have a fantastic one today because it's Free Talk Friday. But one other thing, we also have a yearly meeting that's just fantastic, full of tons of great advice, great people getting together. Some of the best restaurants this year is in Dallas. I'm going to be confirming the speaker here very shortly, who I'm excited about. So that'll be an announcement coming in the next few weeks. So if you want to grow your agency, go ahead and contact me, Jon, Jon, at digitalmastermind.com. And of course, you can find us online at digitalmastermind.com as well for more information. So, and one last thing. I know there was one last thing before. This is the final one last thing. This is live. Join in. Yeah, any questions, anything that you would like to comment on, feel free to chime in any way. And with that said, Dave, why don't you come out here and join us?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, man. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
All right. Got the golf shirt on. You're rocking us.
Yeah, it's Free Talk Friday. This is my favorite episode.
You know, I was thinking about rocking a golf shirt today. I was like, you know what? I wear the button ups. It's like my uniform. When I don't have it, I feel like I'm out of place. Like I don't have the tools necessary to do the job.
So the primary reason for my wardrobe choice is I've lost a ton of weight, and all my button ups, I swim in them now, and they look terrible on me right now. So I had to go. we just got to do a photo shoot for Emma, and I had to go buy a new shirt just for that day. So I had something that looked like it fit me.
So you're probably going to run into the issue. So where your shoulders stick out like more than your waist, based on like American shirts, it's hard to find, clothes that like fit for there. So you might actually end up getting them tailored.
Yeah, we'll see. See if I can maintain.
How much weight did you lose?
30 pounds so far.
Oh, that's insane, man. That's congratulations. That's a lot of weight. Good for you.
Thank you. 2020.
All right. What's that?
Hashtag 2020. It's funny. I listen to, commercials now we're talking about, it's been such a tough year and all this bad stuff. And granted, there's lots of bad stuff that have happened. Every time I hear it, though, I'm like, my year's been pretty awesome. So, my 2020 has been great.
I think it's been stressful, and maybe it's based on the consumption of a lot of the negative stuff. But even today, I was listening to a podcast that I was talking about like Tom Petty, and toward the end of his life, found himself happier as he completely like cut out the internet, and he would just read books and not consume anything that essentially didn't bring him a smile. I was like, wow, man, that's like a really, great place to be if you can do that, because you can only do that up to a point if you're going to stay on top of, all the news and things that are going on.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know. I'm starting to head that way with social media as well.
Not even just social media, just in general. Like you put on the news, like they don't talk about, like you have to talk about if it bleeds, it leads.
Right.
Positive news isn't going to make, it rarely makes. And if it does, it's like, all right, we got one segment and then let's get to the shooting that just happened down the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, and with some bad news, DDoS attacks, those are on the rise.
They are. And so we had our DMG call this week. And one of the issues I raised at the very end was, one of my old clients, just was in the news recently with a ransom. They got hacked and they paid a ransom, and the insurance company paid the ransom on their behalf, but still 500,000 users, social security numbers, birthdays, all that was exposed. And then they had to let all their customers know. I mean, this could end them. And one of the things that my client said is, the one thing that his client CEO was good at was being protected with insurance and such. So they had a really robust insurance policy to cover them, so they didn't have to come out of pocket to pay this ransom. So, we've definitely been looking at our insurance now, and we're working on that. But that, on top of that, since the call Wednesday for the DMG, Cloudflare, which is who we use as a tool to make sites faster and more secure, just sent out a notice describing almost like a template of what these attacks look like in these ransom. And, they advocate right in the email, do not pay the ransom. Now, it's funny is that my client's client paid the ransom, and the insurance company explained to them that the reason why they know that data was deleted because they've paid this hacking group before, and they know that they would not get another payment from them if they didn't actually delete the information. And I was like, since when is there honor between thieves? Like, it's just so weird to me. So I believe 2021 is going to be chock full, especially for our agency owners, of clients getting ransom attacks. And then, if we're not prepared for that, then your client's going to leave you.
I think
client. So and we're prepared. We're already looking into it, and we already know what to do to help solve these. So maybe that's our positioning for 2021 is, just like for the last 3 years, ADA compliance has been a big deal. I think, being prepared for ransom attacks is the next big deal.
I think with something ADA, I think the positioning there doesn't put a target on you like it does so much with some foreign. I don't know.
You don't even know if they're foreign.
We don't. We don't even know where they're at. But yeah, you just have somebody that's lurking, just waiting to pull down your site, and they make so much money at it. And it's like a typical business operation over there. It's not some sweaty guy in a basement. It's like a call center over in I don't know, Ukraine, Bosnia, or something that just it has all the looks of like a regular business where you just call in and essentially pay your fee and move on. But from what I understand, you shared a letter in the DMG channel from Cloudflare, from Cloudflare, thank you, that says that they're threatening you and warning you like, hey, we're coming.
Right. And then they give you a little teaser attack just to know that they're real. And so it's funny that in the email they mentioned the entities will be claiming to be Fancy Bear, Cozy Bear, or Lazarus. And those are the three names of the hacking group that are doing it. So probably now that we're talking about these hacking groups, we've just gone on their radar, and now we're going to be a target of a ransom attack now. So
what can people do to protect themselves, though? Like, what would you recommend?
Cloudflare or a service like that. But basically, think of them as like an active firewall. It's not like it's artificial intelligence or anything, but they can recognize attacks and shut that down before it happens or before it takes your site down. And plus, they're a big caching engine. So if you are getting an attack, and let's say you have more, it's not just your website. Some clients have internal apps, intranets, ordering. They have different things that run in the network, but not necessarily on that subdomain. Well, those things are going to go down too if you get a DDoS attack. So if Cloudflare can stop that, then your other apps aren't going to go down, and your other apps aren't going to suffer from just because your website's getting attacked. So
all right, let's say that you hire Cloudflare or a company like Cloudflare. What is a company like Cloudflare, just for our audience? Because a lot of agencies, they don't do anything with hosting, right?
Right. So Cloudflare is just like a layer on, it's like a CDN, a content delivery network on front of your website that caches all your images, videos, all your assets, your JavaScript files, like everything that is an asset pulled into a website, and they cache it on their CDN. Their CDN is like an Amazon. It's all around the world. And so they absorb and then you have to do some DNS tricks to route the traffic to them first, and then they route to your server. So they basically, if you have a high trafficked website that gets a ton of traffic and a ton of bandwidth, you could pay Cloudflare like, I don't know, $50 or less. I don't remember what the pricing is. but they're going to absorb like 80% of that traffic and only pass on the things to your server that are like dynamic content, not those fixed assets like images, videos, and JavaScript libraries. So on the face of it right there, it's just a cost savings and better speed and faster, performance for your website. Then on top of that, they have a bunch of additional tools that can detect attacks and stop things like a DDoS attack for you automatically.
Got it. So would you say you're in better hands with a company like Cloudflare than not?
Absolutely. Unless your hosting company provides those services. But we just do it for the speed. I mean, we do it primarily for the speed, performance, and the reduction of bandwidth. So it's a bottom line mover, not necessarily a top line mover. So
it's crazy. This is how the world is just going to keep going. It's just more things for people to try to leverage others in criminal ways, and figuring out a way to stay on top of it. And as somebody that tries to drive in business or help protect somebody's business, agencies and just companies in general need to get this figured out.
So, and I think insurance is a good discussion to really talk about it, because if you don't have the right insurance, you're going to have to come out of pocket, or you're going to have to pay that ransom, or you're going to get screwed, or it's scary. And if you're not prepared, and it takes you by, what do they say? Like, ignorance is not a good defense, or something like that. Just saying,
ignorance is never defense.
Yeah. So you better be prepared if this happens. And as agencies, I think this, while I know, like in our contracts, we have clauses that say we're not responsible for the performance or success or failure of your project. We're just going to build you whatever you want.
Mm.
I don't think that as agencies we can just live off that anymore. Like, you have to say, hey, we've got the proper insurance in case this happens, and because you're ultimately responsible. If you build a website for somebody and you're using things with security holes in it, and they extract all your data or something like that, you're going to be responsible for that. Or they're at least going to sue you. They might win, but you're still going to spend money on defending yourself. So
now,
I think
so I think the insurance is also in layers, right? Because you have your umbrella policy, then you have this policy. Is this is cyber security, cyber threat?
No, there's difference between cybersecurity and cyber extortion. Most people in their general business liability protection have some sort of cyber protection, but that is mostly for if your employee accidentally deletes all their data, or your employee accidentally ruins their system. That's what you're covered. It does not cover you from a outside group getting access to your client's data. And you need that extra layer of cyber extortion coverage for that.
Do you have the extortion coverage policy? So, curiously, I don't know, this might be getting too far, but is it possible for DDoS attackers to find out whether you have those policies or not? Is that like filed anywhere? Because that would be my first place to go. Like, oh yeah, hey, all these people got this coverage. Let's go ahead and hit them up.
Well, like I said, that insurance company knew that hacking group, really well. So it almost seems like they're in cahoots somehow. But I don't know if it's publicly listed anywhere. It shouldn't be.
Yeah,
but
I just know previously had a client that promoted like amazing E&O insurance or something. I don't remember. It was some type of insurance that they had. So it attracted some customers that sued them, got insurance money from it. So it was just abused. It was just interesting. They thought it was one of those points to just build trust in the marketing message, and it turned out that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as there's a piggy bank there to attack, somebody's going to attack it.
Yeah, and I'm sure these premiums are going to continue to go up. So the message there is essentially make sure that you're on some type of CDN that has a protection component related to DDoS attackers and extortionists, right?
Especially if your client is going to have customer data and store it. Now, this particular story that started this awareness for me was they their current system was up to standards, and the hackers could not attack the current live system. However, 5-6 years ago, some process along the way, they extracted backups that were unencrypted and saved on some random server that was kind of forgotten about, and the hackers found it. So that's the scary part, is that the company wasn't even really aware of this asset sitting on a server somewhere. But the hackers found it, looked at it. It wasn't encrypted, so they had access to all the phone numbers, all the birth dates, social security numbers, and passwords. So I mean, it was just terrible. The confidence in this company now. It's not only just the impact of you having to pay that ransom. Now you have to deal with the fallout of all your customers realizing that your data is not secure with them,
which everybody assumes it is.
Yeah.
So on a level of let's say from 1 to 10, the company, if you were to look at them, how confident would you, looking at the company, believe that all your data would be secure?
Our company or their company?
The company that you're looking at, that you're referring to, the client of the client.
I would have no clue. You have no clue. They don't really talk about it.
Well, you see, I think it's was it Equian, or what's the insurance, or what was it?
I don't know.
The insurance, it was all right. So one of the credit card companies. It was one of the
Experian?
Experian, yeah, Experian. I would say on a level of 10, I would assume data is that secure with a company like that.
But
right?
even they got hacked.
That's what I'm talking about. Anybody is vulnerable. So, which leads to the next question: who is responsible? The CTO, and what types of companies are there? This might give me an idea to something to sell. Can we sell an analysis where we go and look for these specific vulnerabilities?
I wouldn't want to, because then you're putting your liability of. There's always going to be smarter hackers out there than you, right? I mean, if you're that genius level of a coder or a hacker, you're not going to just work for someone else, right? So you're never going to employ someone that's better than the powers that be that can steal something. So if you're putting your liability up, saying, "Hey, you're never going to be hacked," I just would never be in that business.
They call it the white hat hackers, the ones that find something and then they report it. Those guys typically get arrested, some of them anyway, because
or they wear a white hat during the day and a black hat at night.
Right. Yeah, that's true. A little gray hat.
Right.
All right, yeah, that's interesting. So the things are: find yourself a CDN that essentially has the protection layer, and make sure that you have the insurance policies in place to protect yourself and your clients if you're an agency and you're responsible for hosting. If you're not responsible for hosting, I think you wash your hands of it.
No, if you built the system and you accidentally put the flaw in there that was exposed, it could be traced back to you. Now, for all intents and purposes, I think for what we do on a daily basis, all we need to do is show that we've taken the appropriate precautions and steps and measures to try to, like using Cloudflare and making sure that customer data is encrypted. Like passwords need to be salted, not just encrypted, but hashed.
Most of our audience doesn't know what that means, I would bet.
So, 10 years ago, every password was stored in clear text, maybe 15 years ago, which means if somebody looked in a database, I could see what you use as your password. I could then probably safely assume that I could probably go to Google and type into your Gmail account, your email address, and you probably use the same password. I now gained access to your email. I can now do reset passwords on your bank account and your credit card and all that stuff. And I have access to do that. So that was easy stuff back in the day. This is what also happened to this client of client, is that the passwords were exposed. If you hash them, then it basically turns them into a 124-bit encrypted string that you cannot reverse. It's impossible to reverse it. So once it's in that hash, the only way to know that that password is your password is if you provide it again, hash that, and then compare the two hashes. So that is how you protect your passwords from being stored if your database gets hacked or your website gets hacked, and then they can get access to the data. Because you need to make sure that you can't even tell them what their password is, which is why when customers like, hey, can you just tell me what my password is? No, I don't know it. I can't. You have to go through the forgot password process. So,
got it. I like that. Yeah. And I'm happy our audience knows it, because I know a lot of people that aren't aware of that. I think the other thing too is just some of the simple security tips that people don't take. Like when I see somebody using the same password for everything, I'm like, ugh, like just make it easy. Just go ahead and just publish it. Just post it on Facebook or Twitter what your credit card number is. I don't know. I think it's important to use tools like Keeper, KeepPass. What's that other one that we use up there in Jacksonville? Bitwarden. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's important for people to have some type of tool that has all those. But also, I think it's only a matter of time before some of those companies get hacked, or maybe they already have and we just don't know about it.
Right.
For instance, like credit cards. Like, how often does your credit card get compromised?
I would say 3 years ago it was like 3 in 1 year, and it was annoying as shit. But it wasn't like my credit card was compromised. It was just I had shopped at a place that got hacked. Not
right. That's typically what it is. Yeah.
And so that was like the year of the Target hack, and something else. Google has a new service where you can go and see all of the compromised companies that you had an account at, which to me is weird. Does Google know that stuff? But they do.
Yeah. About 4 times a year. It's pretty constant that that a credit card for me. It's like every 3 months. It seems like it's the same thing. And just depending on which card it is, whether it's a company card or a personal card. And it's just a complete pain in the ass, because you have to then go and change everything that's attached to, because nobody, like, who's still writing checks?
Nobody. Old people.
Yeah. Or my car detailer, because the guy doesn't take credit cards.
But I mean, that's why I use a credit card for everything. I want that layer of protection. I never use my debit card for anything.
No, yeah, nobody should. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's been a big change too, because I'm sure there was a period where you were, though, right? Back in the day, you used your debit card. Yep. Speaking of change, I think it kind of brings up the next subject, which is embracing change, right? So,
absolutely.
Look at that segue, so smooth. It's like it's like almost like I've been doing this for a year. But embracing change. So we've had a lot of change recently, right? And I think it's interesting when you pull on new team members and some of the other things that are around that. The people that are involved, embrace some of those people. And I think we have a really strong culture. That's something I want to commend. But I've seen in the past with other companies where it's almost like it's very tribal. Somebody tries to get in, and I was speaking with somebody about this the other day. Somebody tries to get in, and they're instantly like, "No, we don't want to change. We don't want to bring this person in." And it's a fear of somebody losing rank. It's a fear of their world getting more work, getting less work, so less responsibility.
Right.
And it's something that I have to commend our company on, that we've done a good job in making sure that that's not the case. If we've brought on 2 people, I think 3, there's somebody else we're bringing on here as well in the next week. So Is it Monday? Monday's their first start day?
Yep.
Yeah. And I know we've talked to, and I think it was the podcast with Jason Rosenbaum, where he had like a whole interview experience. You need to go back and listen to that episode, because they're fully distributed where we're not, but more and more of our team members are. I believe the latest is in Utah. The other one is in Kansas City. But with that, making sure that everybody feels comfortable, everybody's getting acquainted and understanding that, all right, things are going to change. So you do need to embrace them. Because if you do not embrace change, you cannot grow. If you cannot grow, this is business, this isn't a clubhouse, and even potentially clubhouses need to grow in some respects, then you're going to be out of business.
Yeah. Or you're just got a new, more agile. Someone's going to come and take your business from you. So, I mean, change is scary. Everyone hates it. I see it all the time. Anytime something new happens, everybody's like, "No, why? What are we doing? Oh, this is not fair. This is not right." It's like, at first it's like, come on, I've got a track record of making the right decisions. So when I present change, give me a little benefit of the doubt. and if it doesn't work out, we'll fix it and we'll make that change real quick. But we're trying to grow. I mean, growth, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So, and change is required for growth. And people want more responsibility and people want to be challenged. And the only way to do that is by growing. I can't move somebody up and promote them or give them management if they don't want to take on more and do new. So I think that's just got to be reminded.
And I think the people that, and evolution is, the ability to adapt. And the more that you evolve in your company and your career, the healthier you'll be, the better you're going to feel when you embrace change. For instance, my wife, love her to death. She's super more tree hugger than most, I would say, which is great. That's awesome. That's one of the things. To the point though, where a neighbor cuts down a tree, that she'll literally well up. Yeah, I know. It's sad. She's not out there chaining herself to it like a true tree hugger, where the term comes from. But in any event, so it's embracing change. That's something that I tell her, all right, cool, this is going to happen. Know that that's going to happen. You're mentally setting that expectation, and it's important. I think it's also important for teams and cultures to also do that. On the DMG call today, people were talking about some of the changes that they're going to have to make in their company and how difficult they are. But the more accustomed you are to change and willing to change, the easier it's going to be. This year I think is a perfect example of that. Nobody guessed we were going to have this year, but the better that you adapted to it, the better that you feel about where you are in your position. Now, God forbid if you lost your job or something, or some people have lost their companies. I think that's a bit different. But this also reminds me of one thing too. I remember there was a client years ago that said, we've never had to market. We're not going to market. It was actually a prospect, wasn't even a client. We're a $5 million a year company. Everything that we have is built off of referrals and the customers that we have. And, we did it brick by brick. I was like, oh, that's great. I love that story. Okay, cool. On to the next one. That's fine. And then I got a call with him freaking out that their business was substantially reduced because of a new technology coming in place and essentially erasing them, and it wanted to know what we could do with almost no money. I told him, hey man, it's too late. We're way behind. There's nothing that we can do at this stage that if you want to, continue the line, and I really want to say the line of business, but I don't want to call the person out because he's a good dude. Yeah. But there was nothing that we could do in that situation. And unfortunately, the guy, he pretty much went out of business, found another channel to go in. Still keep in contact with him, but that's a conversation that he and I've had since then. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, didn't, and here you are.
There are so few brands that even make it to 25 years, let alone 50, and then 100, right? Just you can probably count in one hand the number of American companies that are older than 100 years. And that's, back in let's say when I graduated high school in 1997, every commercial ended with AOL keyword hot cars or AOL keyword that. Nobody gives a fuck about AOL right now, and so even AOL at its peak, when everyone thought, oh my God, they're going to dominate the internet, which is why, Time Warner Media bought it for an insane amount of money. They're nothing now. That's going to happen to Google one day. That's going to happen to Apple. Almost bid it in the 90s, and it took Steve Jobs to bring it back. All these brands are going to struggle at some point because of disruption. We're seeing a major disruption of Main Street right now by Silicon Valley, essentially. And this goes to our, my buy local, I've been preaching this all year round. But people are going to lose their local communities if they continue to, substitute mom and pop for an app. And, but driving to the point home, if you're not innovating and you're not continually adapting your customer experience, somebody's going to come along and take your business, whether it's an app, because, ordering HelloFresh is so easy. Click, 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 boom. I've got, a meal coming, or all that stuff. I said when the crisis first started that restaurants should have started establishing their own delivery services and not relying on the Grubhubs or the other ones, because all you're doing is reducing the amount of profit you're getting. And you do get a little liability shield, but I still felt like providing that own experience, because it's faster. Grubhub's slow. They have to go there and they sit there and wait. It just takes longer than your own delivery driver.
They're all slow.
Yeah. But Pizza Hut or Papa John, all the pizza guys, they can deliver you a pizza pretty quick.
So in Boston, this is why I just got off vacation. I was in Boston for 10 hours, right? Get a hotel. So I'm in there, I'm starving. And then everywhere you have to check in on, usually online, to make a reservation if you're going to eat somewhere, or you can order your food, which is fine. I don't mind making a reservation.
Sure.
That's how they're doing COVID tracking. I get it. It's got its place. But so I use Uber Eats. And the guy, so I'm watching the guy. I got like all these hot dogs from this like famous hot dog place. I love hot dogs. And
Yes.
I'm waiting. I'm like seeing the guy. And then my wife was like, I'll go downstairs and get it. I got to get something else. I was like, okay, cool. So she goes down there to meet the guy. And then I get this text message from her. She's like, hey, where's he at? And it says like the food's delivered. I'm like, well, what the hell? So I call the guy and he's like, yeah, really thick accent. And I'm not going to try to imitate it. That's not going to be good for anybody. And he's like, essentially what it sounded like, I said, is like, I gave it to her, like I heard like blonde something. I was like, okay, all right, my wife's blonde. I was like, all right, that's cool. So then I call her back. He's like, he gave it to you. She's like, no, I don't have anything. So I call him back and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Well, then he hands a phone to his wife, who equally speaks horrible English. And I'm like, where am I going to get my food? Like, and all I heard is, call Uber. I so want to do this accent, but I'm not going to.
Are we talking about a Bostonian accent?
No, we are not talking about a Boston. I would have paid double to get the Bostonian accent, because I would have gotten much further than I got.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so I'm like, all right, that's fine. So my wife comes up or whatever, and she tells me, there's like this revolving door with food service. People are like, oh, here you go. They just take the food and then they go. So everybody's getting the wrong food. This has to be costing the food companies that are delivering millions of dollars in these cities, because they're not making any money anyway, right? So there's this huge loss. I instantly went on Uber. They refunded my money. It was in a matter of seconds. But I was just so frustrated. Like, how is there not like a checks and balances? Like, yo, hey, here's my phone. That matches up. Cool. On to the next one. Talk to the hotel staff. They're like, oh yeah, this happens all night. Yeah, just tons of meals and people being upset. And I was like, all right, I went to bed hungry that night. I'm not going to wait another, 45 minutes. I'm not going to, everywhere is closing anyway. So now I got to change where I'm going to eat. I know this is a long belabored story, but
No.
I hate food delivery companies.
It drives home the point that you need to own the customer experience, because not only are you going to blame Uber Eats, but you're going to blame where you ordered it from too. That lasted on your, scar tissue there. And you're always going to remember this bad experience every time.
Dude, I got out of Boston. I blamed Boston.
Right. Or the entire city.
Yeah, I was like, get me out of this town. I was like, yeah. We just literally, went back on our way. I was so pissed.
Yeah. I believe that if you're if you're wanting to deliver food, hire a delivery driver. It's cheap. You're talking about a slight increase in your probably insurance cost, and then what? A minimum wage driver an hour to deliver 4 or 5 meals an hour.
Because these companies are charging, I think, 35%, and then they're on their own menus. They're marking up the price, so they're adding margin on top of what it is that you're already, what your prices already are. So they're the only ones winning in that equation. You literally just get to make food and spend money
again, and you're taking that profit, that your margin is now going to Silicon Valley instead of your local community. So
I'm not a fan of unions, but this is like a good reason for somebody to start some kind of guild or some type of union where like trains like how to put the driver in your business, because restaurants aren't going to do that on their own. Like there needs to be some type of mechanism that does that.
Well, most restaurants, and it's annoying for someone like what we do when we come into someone's business and we help build it and grow it and give them ideas and give them new things. Restaurants, it's the reason why we don't take on any restaurants as clients, because their owners are never able to sit there and think and work on their business. They never sit there and plan out how to add a new this or that. It's always just, nope, we've got to do, maintain. It's so frustrating because it's like, I can show you the way, but yes, you're going to have to pay just a little bit more and you're going to have to do a little bit more work. And I mean, that's, restaurants are tough in that they never have time to work on their business. It's always working in their business.
Nope. And we have one. Love that guy. He's been around a long time. And it's just a super small client, but yeah, like other than that, I hate restaurants. Restaurant marketing, restaurant technology. It's just so low margin as well. Even outside of the work, like they want to work on the business. It's just there's no money. And if it is a bigger concept, it's bite and smile, right? Like, oh, look at the food. How's the food taste? You ever tried to write an ad to sell food? It's the most painful experience.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? You're literally trying to paint a picture of an experience. It's like you're a food writer all of a sudden. And those aren't even great. Like, that's why you got Yelp and all these other things that have popped up, disrupting the food critic market. So, yeah, and to anybody that works in that space that focuses on restaurants, God bless you. I'm happy it's you and not me.
I mean, I one day do want to purchase a pizza shop, a small one that just focuses on delivery, and then create the amazing marketing and tools around that to make that process as seamless as possible. I mean, I think Domino's has a great. What's that?
Domino's?
Right. I was just gonna say Domino's has a great app, right? It's a very easy process. It's very easy to order, and other than that, the quality of their pizza sucks. The experience is pretty solid. Now, imagine if you were a mom and pop pizza joint with a New York style pizza that's nothing like a Papa John's or a Pizza Hut or a Domino's, but you had that same kind of experience. You would kill it, right? But these mom and pops don't have good experiences when you're ordering shit. You have to call them. You have to talk to someone. You end up talking to a 17-year-old that doesn't really give a shit. And you have to repeat your order 3 times before they get it. So if you could replace that experience for that mom and pop homemade quality, you would kill it.
And I wonder, I'd like to see studies because I think a lot of the mom and pop places, it's assumed that, granted, you need to be treated with some modicum of respect, right? And nobody wants to go to any of the others, but it's that difference that you're going into to support that others. Like, for instance, like the mom and pop little Italian joint. There's an amazing one here, like almost into St. Pete Beach. It's fantastic. Is the service spectacular? No, like it's not. But do I want the Olive Garden service for the food? To me, like it doesn't make that big of a deal.
No, but unless it's your stick, like there's a series of restaurants. There's one in Myrtle Beach called, I think it's just called Dick's, and they treat you like assholes. Like they treat you like dirt. That's their thing. You're going there for that.
Yeah.
But if you're not, if that's not your thing, then it's not very hard to take your customer service level from here to here. Like, you can do 3 things that instantly takes you to another level. And so for your example and your mom and pop, all they'd have to do is probably change a couple attitudes, alter a couple processes, and instantly change your perspective.
Yeah,
but
like I said, it's not willing to do that. So I'm on vacation. Like I rank restaurants like the best ones, right? I eat out a lot.
Service to me is number 1 metric.
Absolutely, right? Well, service is like, it's assumed it needs to be okay. I don't think I'm the easiest person to wait on, not because I'm demanding, because I'm engaging. Like, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions. Like, I want to know. I'm not, just going to sit there and I'm going to pay attention to you if you're a server. Like, we're going to get into each other's worlds, right? And I want to give a shout out to this restaurant when I was in, I think it was in Portland, Maine, called Scales. Like, dude, like off the charts service I had for my birthday. Like, insane. Why? Because that server like takes the time to ask the questions, understand, really, really paint a picture of, what it is that you want. And granted, like, I'll drop like $300 if it's a really good restaurant, right? And that's just like food. That doesn't include drinks or anything else. Right. I'm going to get like 5, 6 different appetizers. It's going to be an experience that's fun. So I think you have to have amazing food too, because even if the service, right, it's the assumed it's going to be okay. If that's good, and I get into like one of the appetizers because I'm gonna, order a couple, then we'll get more. If that sucks, boom, I'm out of there. Yeah, this restaurant, I'm never coming back. Even if you had amazing service, if you have really poor quality and really poor food, it's completely off the list.
Got our first comment of the show from Deb Nichols. She is a member of my fan club that I run on the weekends. So she actually told me in the last game she loves our show. That's the first time I even heard she listened to it. So shout out to her and the Pats fan club here in Jacksonville. But make sure
not a Pats fan, but thank you, Jeb, for watching.
I don't even know what Boston pizza is. Is that a new thing? I've definitely never had it.
I've never had it. I don't know. I can't eat pizza.
The thing, so to play off your story, and the thing that, so I'm, I guess, kind of difficult to, and I'll give you 2 examples. This past week, our account manager, Beth, did a presentation called Pork Chops to Dev Shops. And she gave this to the local online marketers group that's here in Jacksonville. And in it, she talked about one night when she ordered her food and didn't get her burger until basically everyone was already done with their food. That was the first night Brandon, our other account manager, came up to Jacksonville. So we all went out as a team, and she didn't get her burger. It was terrible. Well, I got the wrong wings, and so I had to send mine back. And when they came back, they came breaded, like completely different. And I'm like, what the?
So you still got the wrong wings.
Yeah. It took three attempts, and I'm like, what is going on in your kitchen? Like, you're flushing again. Your margin is only so big, and you've just pissed it away by giving me the wrong food twice, and it's so frustrating. So I consider myself slightly difficult as well because when I sit down, most of the time I want to sit down and I have an experience like you mentioned, which doesn't mean I want to put my entree in immediately, but they want to churn and burn. I get that. I'm going to spend enough money to make it worthwhile for me to hang around. Let me hang around.
Yep.
And then second, have an ability to understand a custom order. So at this restaurant, they always screw it up, but they offer fried wings and they offer grilled wings. And every time I ask them, can you fry them and then grill them? And they can't fucking figure that out. And I do not understand why they can't do that. It's so difficult for them. And I'm like, and I explain it step by step. Please fry them, sauce them, grill them, sauce them again. That's called, there's an actual term for that. It's called Daytona style. And if you go down to Daytona, you will see that option in many places because it's ridiculously delicious. Sears the sauce into the wing. So
there's another way with like when you smoke them and then you bake. There's something like that too. And those are incredible as well. That restaurant Leroy Selman's, which, God rest Leroy Selman's soul, Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Also, God rest the soul of his restaurant because that's no longer around either. Best wings I've ever had.
Where at?
Oh yeah, hands down, fantastic. Looks like you're attending to something else. I think we got to get a couple other things. Are you ready to shift gears?
No. Where do you get the best wings? I'm a big wing guy.
They're close. It was Leroy Selman's. I said God rest the soul of his restaurant. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But all right, now are you ready to shift gears?
I'm ready.
All right. Actually, let's shift back to wings. So I stopped eating chicken for health reasons, right? Because I want to look up this number, but how quickly, so the little wings that you eat, how quickly do you think that chicken goes from being like an embryo until that size until you cook it?
I think it's 28 days or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like they got it down to like 2 weeks.
That seems a little fast.
Yeah, it's like a ridiculous amount of time. 28 days is fast.
It is. Yeah. I know, but I mean, I know you're about to go on a whole what about the chickens? But thank God we've been able to get chickens to grow that fast, so we don't have starving people. Like I hate when people start talking about our agriculture.
Wings aren't starving.
The other parts of the chicken are going to other things that are typical. If we did not have the agriculture that we have, we would have starving people. I mean, I hate when people talk about our agriculture system when just 2 generations ago we had the standard was going to bed hungry. That doesn't happen anymore because of the advances in big ag. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Chickens, if we can get them plump in 28 days, great. That means people can afford cheap chicken.
I think you play to. I'm all about agriculture being to a certain extent, but I think there's certain things that, like, all right, so if you're going, it's just ingredients, right? So if you're going to continually eat poor things, right,
Sure.
are you expecting a positive outcome?
That's correct. But
if you
would you rather have poor things than nothings?
Poor things than nothings. I don't think that's the debate here. I think big ag in a lot of ways has destroyed the way that we go about chicken. I think it's not necessarily an affordability thing. I think it's just one of the downsides of capitalism. And I'm a capitalist. Don't get me wrong.
No, it's 100% about affordability because you can easily go to your local farm and buy a chicken. They sell them.
What local farm?
I can get them here. And they're plucked and everything right there. They're probably 3 times the cost of that chicken that's been mass produced in Publix. But, they're completely, raised in the way you want them. But they're more expensive.
And I think it comes down to health. And that's why I don't eat chicken that's produced 28 days or any number of days. I just, I don't know. Just crossed it off the list because I think
do you eat any other fowl?
I'll eat duck every now and then. I mean, that's something that, I don't eat too often.
Yeah.
Turkey, I'll eat that every now and then. What's that?
I prefer wild anything,
But those are the downsides of capitalism. I mean, granted, I understand the affordability, but it's just like time. Anytime you give somebody like, hey, we're going to have an hour meeting, they're going to take up that meeting. Anytime you're going to continually, try to lower the cost, everybody else is going to race in that direction anyway. And then people are going to expand it. I mean, people eat entirely too much in this country as it is. So we went from a going, to bed hungry scenario to going to bed entirely too full and worrying about diabetes and heart disease. So the trade-offs, I guess. So what I'm saying is there's somewhere in the middle. Don't eat chicken.
I mean, there's still plenty of people, if you listen to, what is it? No Hungry Kid. There's plenty of food banks and food. There's plenty of people still going hungry. I mean, you're never going to solve it all. So I guess another that's completely unrelated, but have you heard of the Polished Man nonprofit?
No.
So somebody on my Facebook feed told me about it, and he's being a big advocate for it. Basically, it's a nonprofit to end child violence. And their whole campaign
violence against children, or violence for children or beating up each other.
Okay. No, that's violence against children. Yeah. So you're supposed to paint one fingernail blue or something like that, and that's supposed to represent your support for that. But when he's telling me about it, I started researching it, and they said, 1 out of every 2 children experiences violence in their life, and I'm just like, that doesn't sound right to me. I'm sure there's some that are out there, but I'm like,
how are you defining violence though?
Right. And so I'm feeling like they've got to be counting the sweatshops in Southeast Asia that are making all the Nikes. I mean, 1 out of 50% of all children have some kind of violence against them. And I was like, doesn't sound right. But that's got to be, where does most of that happen? Not America, because we're only
so their cause is to stop violence against children, but what does violence mean? That could be super broad. Oh yeah, Corey was yelled at. Corey doesn't like being yelled. That's not violence.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
okay. So you got any blue fingernails?
No.
Okay.
But I did donate a little bit of money. I just, to me, it's the whole statistics and the kind of creating a cause that just doesn't sound right. And I don't know.
So you gave money to a cause that you don't believe sounds right?
I was more supporting a friend more than anything else.
Got it. But the blue fingernail, that's a great marketing idea. You see the blue fingernail, you see it, and you're like, oh, hey, what's up with the blue fingernail? And you're like, I want to tell you about, our overly inflated statistics that are supposed to, drive money because we have a cause that, potentially helps kids.
Right. Also, another thing that threw me off is it did not show up on Charity Navigator, which, should always be vetted before. But, it is what it is. I was supporting a friend.
Which, supporting a friend brings up the next subject, Q4 sales. So this is where I've said this before and I'll say it again. This is where the champions are made. This is the toughest quarter in this business and most businesses that are B2B sales. Unless you're selling something that's holiday related. Even if you're selling something holiday related, that's tough because somebody else comes out with a competing product, a better toy, a better gift. It's going to beat you. So get ready for all of the commercials for jewelry. As soon as these political ads are done, get ready for all of the vacations you're going to be fighting against to get proposals signed, to get people to answer emails, the phone, so you can get deals moving on. So it's upon us, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Do you take a Q4 vacation ever?
If I do, it's just like the week between Christmas and New Year's. I much rather, because to me that's not a vacation. Because usually that means you're visiting family, and I don't like calling that vacation because vacation should mean you get away. That means you're just taking time off and wasting it with your family.
Because your family's dispersed, right? So you guys actually will get together. So there's the assumption of somebody entertaining somebody else, right?
Yeah. Just moved my mom down though, so that was
so less entertainment there, more lunches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we usually take some when we have to travel to my sister's in West Virginia. We'll take some time off, but other than that, I think our Q4 has always been kind of consistent. I mean, we've had an equal blend of some people dropping off and then some people saying they want to launch this new site by January 1st, which for years now I'm saying that doesn't make sense. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's doing anything January 1st. People are still off. People are still enjoying their holiday break. And, nobody's looking to do a big purchase commitment or anything January 1st. So I try to tell clients, aim for January 15th. January 15th is when people are getting serious about getting back to work. Because even the first week back, people are kind of, ooh, what did you do for Christmas? What did you do this? What did you get? It's just a bunch of water cooler stuff.
Yeah, way too fuzzy.
But January 15th, it's like people are like, all right, what's our Q1 budget? What is our yearly budget? Let's make these yearly plans. And that's when you want to start getting your new messaging out there and start hitting them. Because I think people are wasting messaging when they blast it out January 1st.
Yeah, and most people are not checking emails. But I think a big driver, though, I understand it's procrastination. Companies are like, all right, this is something we can deal with after the first of the year. But what I love, this is what a lot of people can use as sales leverage, sales angle, however you want to state it, is this is a resolution. This is the new year. You want something new. So you can launch it January 15th. You can launch it wherever you want. But this is something that you can use as a driver to say, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Do you want things to change? Do you want that new site? Do you want that? Do you want more leads? What are your growth goals? And a lot of the planning has already been done, for 2021, budgets and things like that a month or two ago. But right now, this is where you can tap in. And if it's their lower cost expenses, under $20,000 for some of these larger companies, you can get sales in the door.
Can you?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had some kind of metric on how much sales we've typically gotten. Before we merged and before you became head of sales, we just lived off referrals. And I feel like I could say that we didn't get many referrals at this time. If we were going to get new projects, it usually was over the summer, which I hear a lot of people saying their summers are usually slow. I just never have experienced that.
I haven't either. I've always experienced busy summers. And I've said it previously. It's because it's my belief this is going to, and this is something I've looked into, and not to be crass at all. I found out, I was trying to correlate why we were so busy over the summers, right? And asking other people, and I got mixed messages like you were just saying. And then I asked some clients, and they're like, oh, I don't know. This is the time to do it. And I don't know how I got a hold of like suicidal data, right? Suicides are actually higher in the summer because everything slows down. And you literally are there to just look at yourself and your problems. It's a terrible thing, and it just is what it is. And I was like, all right. So then I started asking clients. I had new data to ask questions like, hey, is it because everything slows down? That's exactly why. Yeah, that's exactly why we reached out. I was like, oh, okay. So that's what I attribute that to when it comes to, marketing and, technology sales. And then in January and in Q4, things I was talking about leveraging, it's using, that resolution. We want this refresh. And those are historically the two busiest times I've always had is all right, which are great. They're about 6 months apart.
So to me, I think it's March to June is like our sweet spot that's like our golden hour. I mean, it's though, Q2 for us was monstrous. And then March is always like leading into it. And so Q2 is spring, everyone wants the new, spring cleaning, new apps, new things. The holiday hangover's done. I think Q2's always been our great, but the Q3's never been bad. And the old saying in the stock market is, what is it? Sell in May and stay away, or heard of it. Yeah, there's a saying that's like sell in May, stay away. Yeah, something like that. It's like once on the typical, like maybe it's September, I don't know, but there's a date that if you were to sell on that date and wait until next year to buy back in, then, over historical periods, you would be crushing it.
Sell in May and go away.
Yeah.
Really? So that's when you sell, and people are creatures of habits. They just follow this.
So because you have all Q1 to get all that holiday data and everybody's excited and happy, and then by the time Q3 and summer hits, everybody's, that's just reasons to why things are bad and all the naysaying. And now that hasn't actually been true the last couple of years, but historically, it has been true. So,
all right on. And on that note, one last gear. So, Q4 sales, fighting the holidays, just covered that. And if you're setting new goals for 2021. Just set them for the quarter to start with. Don't go crazy. Don't set out the whole crazy year and then disappoint yourself. Set your goals so they're achievable. Make sure that you're using data. Dave and I were having a conversation recently about, the delta between, recurring sales versus new sales. Know what your numbers have to be. Other than that, I've covered a lot of things that I wanted to cover today. Dave, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience?
I've got this little statistic about an email change we made, but I think I'm going to save that for next week.
Save that juicy gem for next week.
Yep.
All right. Other than that, my friends, if you'd like to grow your agency, go ahead and shoot me an email, john@digitalmastermind.com. Visit us online. Just search digitalmastermind.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're watching this recorded, I still love you. Have a great weekend. Bye now.